Hey, welcome everybody to the Collective Podcast. So what this is my opportunity to talk to people who are in a generation that's a little different than the one I'm in. I'm in my mid-40s, and the faith and living life was a lot different when I was your guys' age. But there's a lot of people going through and trying to figure out what faith looks like at the stage of life you're in a world that has rapidly changed, that has a lot of different things have taken place, a lot of tension, a lot of technology, and so I just want to be able to have some conversations that maybe somebody can glean some information from, or find a story that they relate to in a way that's encouraging to them in their own journey in life. All right. So first off, we're going to introduce ourselves. Again, I'm Q. I'll kind of be hosting this thing, kind of asking questions. We'll go from there and move around.
Hi, my name is Tanya.
And tell how old you guys are.
I'm 21 years old.
Right on.
My name is Nate, and I'm 21 years old.
My name is Jake. I'm 22.
I'm Pearl, and I'm 18.
Hi, I'm Marshall, and I'm 24.
All right, there you go. And this group's anywhere, we have folks anywhere from 18 to 27 that'll be joining us here. I think that's kind of our oldest one. But, so we're just going to have a conversation. So here's what I want to ask first. And as I ask these questions, feel free, anybody, to jump in. I might get real pointed with some of them at some points if I really want to know some information from you. But just tell me, and so everybody can kind of know you as we go through this process, what does the beginning of your faith journey, in a quick 2-minute, let's don't go on a long story here and bore people, but a 2-minute, what does the beginning of your faith journey look like? Anybody want to jump in? You can.
Yeah, no. I'll start with myself, since I'm probably the oddball out of here. Grew up not in the church. Most of my family was either raised in the church or around it. And then found myself getting baptized when I was 14. And then shortly after, kind of falling out of the rhythm of attending regular service. And then I finally found myself attending some kind of structured life this year, actually. I turned 22, around there, and coming back and actually diving more into my curiosity within the faith of Christianity.
Nice. Y'all grab the mic.
So I did grow up in church. I was since a child I was taken to church. I didn't really understand it. I would often just fall asleep. Just really got bored of it. As a young child. But then around the age of 12, I started getting more involved in the church that I used to go to with my parents. Started worshiping on stage, playing the drum set, just getting a little bit more familiar with how it actually was to be in the path of Jesus. And then later on, Tanya here invited me to come to Lifepoint, and I started getting more involved here and just kind of learning more through Clay, through the teachings on Sundays, and just starting to grow some more spiritual. So now I'm not bored of it. I'm understanding everything and taking it all in to hopefully grow myself spiritually.
Mm.
So I was raised in church, but I used to go to a Catholic church before I came to Lifepoint, and I just never really felt like I had a connection there. So it was hard for me to actually believe if there was a God, if there was something powerful that could really guide me, which I stopped going at a young age. And then we kind of had the choice of whether to go and not to go, and I didn't go for a few years. But after that, my older sister, she invited me to come here to Lifepoint, and we've been here since. And after joining and being here in Lifepoint, I felt that big, strong connection with God.
My story's a little all over the place, but I kind of grew up in church, just briefly when I was a kid. Then we stopped going in the crucial development years of my life. So I didn't go to church from when I was 9 to, 15, whenever I was or 14, whenever I was a freshman. When I was 15, 16, I was in some pretty big trouble, doing some bad stuff, bad people, and then I came to Lifepoint, and continued to do those bad things and still was not a great person. But the last 2 or 3 years, I've actually found God. And the first thing that I ever started to understand, I took a class, like a small group class with Clay, and he taught us how to interpret the Bible and teach the Bible. And I do kind of get to teach the Bible to our small group, but it finally helped me understand the Bible and understand that there was a purpose for everything that was said or that people told me. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
You want to share, Marshall? Huh?
No, thank you.
No worries. So I have a question. You said something, Jake, that was
Yes.
interesting that I want to talk about tonight as we get started. Is you said something about, you had to find your rhythm. And rhythm's kind of a buzzword even 15 years ago, like trying to find your rhythm in life. But our current context and culture, makes rhythms seem difficult because of the speed everything's moving. Talk to me about your guys. Like, what is your guys' current rhythm? Has anybody found a rhythm? What's your rhythm look like? Are you trying to find a rhythm? Like, let's flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah, so for myself personally, for y'all a little bit of context, my rhythm started coming here on Thursdays. I stepped foot into like any sort of church group or anything with Lifepoint for the first time in my life back in April. Actually, it was April 18th. And I love the community here. And I was really in search of community because I feel like a lot of people in our age group are trying to find that community they can attach themselves to. And they feel ostracized. That's why I said, I'm not probably the oddball out of here. Even with my pattern in life leading myself to faith and the path that I've taken. But that rhythm to me is just coming on Thursdays, and then really I still do like a daily Bible study, but even then I still find it hard to bring myself to a Sunday service or a Wednesday service a lot of times, just because I find myself occupying those days with other things in life or other hobbies, and kind of taking my time to myself to be by myself and do my Bible studies then, or pulling up like a Cliff Kneckley lesson. That's kind of the guy that I go to the most time. That's actually somebody online that I really attach myself to with the way I kind of view things and interpret the Bible and learn the best from his talks as well. So,
Do you guys, let's just take it basic. Do any of you guys have daily rhythms that are pretty, like, this is going to happen 5 days a week? Do any of you guys have that? And like, what's that look like? What's your, like, take me through, because I think, like, I don't know that I have that. Like, I really don't know that I have that. Like, I live a pretty chaotic life.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I live. So, like,
yeah.
but I think rhythms are beneficial. So somebody take me through if you have like a daily rhythm, like what it looks like, some markers in it.
My daily rhythm is wake up, show up late to work, just because
Right.
I can't help that. If my bosses are listening to this, they know.
If
so,
you know, you know.
Yeah, so it's showing up to work. Work can change often, but it's typically the same thing. Get there, do my job, leave at 4 o'clock, go home for usually an hour or two, take a short nap if I need to. Then it's go to the gym, work out, and then go back home, go to sleep, and repeat.
Okay. So naps. Let's talk about that. Is anybody else a nap fan?
I crave a nap every single day, and I love them so much.
So, okay, just show of hands. Who naps at least, I don't know, 3 times a week? Anybody in here napping 3 times a week?
I don't want to nap. I don't like to nap, but I do it. It happens. I try so hard to stay awake, and I end up napping.
Oh, you're just exhausted.
I guess so. I hate
feel your struggle.
I hate naps because then I wake up with my head hurting and stuff. But I just did it before I came here. I was watching YouTube. Next thing you know, I'm waking up again. So
It's
it's
about 30 minutes before I got here.
Okay, well, 2 naps.
Yeah.
Did you take a nap too before you came here?
Unfortunately, I did not get to take a nap today, but I do enjoy taking naps whenever I can. But even after taking a nap, getting certain hours of sleep, I'm always tired.
And my weirdness is I hate sleep. I do not like sleep. Like when I tell
that's
you,
weird.
when I tell you I don't like sleep, I don't like going to sleep. I want to get up early when I go to sleep. I do not enjoy sleep. There is nothing about sleep I enjoy.
So you like try to maximize hours in the day to do as much as possible? Is that kind of the
Maybe
mentality?
maybe that's the mentality behind it. It's also though I think a counselor one time said I have I forget what the disorder they said I probably had.
Insomnia.
No, it wasn't that. It was like
Not sure what disorder they said I had.
Well, it wasn't like an official.
Right.
They weren't officially diagnosed. They're just like you got this, but it was compulsive.
WebMD.
No, compulsive. Compulsive. I don't know. Compulsive thought disorder or something like where
I can see that.
most people like think about something and then go, this is what I feel, and they move on.
Oh yeah.
I like think about it obsessively. Like I'm going to think about it 1,000 times. I'm going to think about how we do it different, how we figure out a new way. Like I'm going to think about, like every person's a puzzle to me. So like I'll sometimes just sit up late at night and think about people I've interacted with that day and think about how I'm going to interact with them the next time I see them, and I start planning that.
Are you not exhausted? I'm.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's the fun in it.
But I start planning it, so like, I might sit tonight and think about you guys and think about what I want to do next time I meet you. And I don't think that's normal per se, but that's kind of how my
Far
thoughts-
from
Just know
it.
You're not
thoughts go.
alone, because I find myself doing that a lot. Like I'm compulsively like I have an idea, and like even now with my job, I'm a problem solver. Like they call me, I gotta solve a problem, and it's always something. So it doesn't get exhaustive, but you're talking about taking a problem apart 1,000 different ways and then putting it back together. It's like
Can be
I'm the same
fun.
with you on that.
If you're good at it, it can be fun.
Yeah.
Can
I'm
be,
not good at that kind of stuff.
but exhaustive.
Let me get back to rhythms. Is there anything that you guys have on your daily rhythm that you would say, man, this is something I can't do without. Like this is part of my daily rhythm, and it's very important to me.
I personally pretty much only have like one daily rhythm, or one or two. Before class, it differs time mainly, but before class at like 8 or 8:30, I FaceTime Nick, and we do a Bible study, and we're reading through we're doing book studies right now, and that's something we do every single day. And that, just in the 2 months that we've been doing it, has been like so consistent, and it's pretty much been the only consistent thing so far. And then I'm not sure if I have many other daily rhythms besides eating 3 yummy meals a day. I do. I have a
Anybody
yummy
else?
breakfast, yummy lunch, and yummy dinner.
Rhythms, this is something you're going to do most every day.
I find myself, even when I'm work, we're allowed to have one earbud in. I find myself listening to gospel music throughout the day.
So you're like, I'm going to listen to this. It's going to be part of my
I'm
rhythm.
with it most of the time.
Do you feel that helps you?
It actually does. It puts me in a whole different mindset throughout the day.
Yeah.
Same playlist, same like set of songs, or it's always random.
It's just different. I'm finding new artists all the time.
Okay, so it's the same. Like it's
Same genre, just
yeah.
different groups.
Cool.
I think for me, one thing that I feel like I have to have every day is I really enjoy going to the gym, and not for the workout part, but just for the social interaction part. I feel like I need to interact socially every day.
I've seen you work out. I know how much you socially interact.
Yeah. I still get my workout in. Just it takes a little longer
There's
than it
usually like a
should.
crew walking around with him as he works out, and they're talking.
But but I enjoy that because it just lets me, release all my thoughts and anything that I need to get, out that I've experienced throughout the day, and I can sleep better. Because on days that, going back to 2020 when we were all quarantined and I couldn't leave my room for a while, I hated that. I need to socialize with people. I'm a very social person, so not having that interaction and every day, it takes a toll on me. That's why I enjoy my job, even though I show up late every day.
Right.
I still enjoy, doing my job. So
I would say that I also am always having a social interaction, like every single day of every single week. You typically with the same people, same category of people, and I don't think I could live without it. Like, I was driving past Grace's house today, and like I almost called her, and I was like, "Hey, I see your car's in the driveway. Can I come hang out?" Because her and Anna were over, and I was like, I better not. I was like, they're probably hanging out. I'll just let them hang out. And then Grace called me literally 2 minutes later and asked me a question. I was like, I was just about to call you and stop at your house and hang out. But I always want to be around people, or always need to be around people, I feel like.
Like I said, my life is fairly chaotic, but there's two things I do almost every single day. One is have a cup of coffee.
Caffeine is a necessity.
Maybe it's the
It is
caffeine.
life.
But it's also the earthiness. I love the earthiness of coffee. It's a grounding mechanism for me. It's got smell, taste. I like it as hot as it can be. Like, the whole thing is sensory to me. And then the other thing I'll do almost every single day is sometime in the evening I'm going to have space to reflect. Sometimes it looks like just going for a walk. Sometimes it looks like going out by my fire pit and starting a fire. Sometimes it's just going out and sitting in my sunroom petting the dog, or sometimes it's going out and having a cigar. Like, whatever it is, it's a moment where I can evaluate my day. Like, I'm very
intentional.
Yeah, I don't want my day to have been wasted, and so I want to, if I have wasted, and I have wasted plenty of days, I want to realize that I've wasted it and try to make some course correction in it that I don't waste the next one. It's really easy. I don't know if you guys, especially when you start feeling tired or bored, it's really easy to just float through a day. You ever find yourself floating through a day?
Mm-hmm.
The passive TikTok scroll for 3 hours. Yeah, that one's.
And it just
a killer.
clicks, and it's like, whoa, it's already 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, where'd my day go?
It lasts forever.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I was like 7 or something. So I guess it was 1987, 1988.
God, you're ancient.
I know. That Stephen King's It came out, the original Stephen King's It. They've redone it. Pennywise, they redid it a few years ago. But the original Stephen King's It was a made-for-TV series that lasted for like 6 weeks. And I'm this kid, and I'll never forget Pennywise looking at, I think his name's Bill in the show, this little kid. And he says, they all float down here. They all float. And that stuck with me in like a very weird, real way as I've kind of went through life. That the world, culture, the enemy, Satan, however you want to put it, is trying to get you just to float through life and not be intentional and not be making an impact and a difference. And like Pennywise was trying to do that with them, and floating was death. And sometimes I think that there's many days that I've spent on nothing, and it would have been, anybody could have done it. A dead man could have done those days, And so I want to try to be real intentional with that and not float through those days. Anybody else? Mark or Tanya, you didn't say, is there anything in your life that's a daily rhythm piece?
It's probably not much, but I just, after or before even my day starts, I just take a big breath of everything. Even if it was a long day or if it was a good day, probably the best day I ever had, I will take a big breath of just realizing everything that just happened, just taking it all in.
Interesting.
Another thing, whenever you said earthy about your coffee, I find myself every single day outside at some point, whether it's raining, whether it's shiny. I will either go out on my back porch and just stretch, or I'll go sit in the creek. The other day I tried to go out to the creek and it was dried up and I was very sad, but I've got a little prayer rock and I just go sit in the creek and put my feet in the water.
That's the most Hallmark movie thing I've ever heard.
And
I can just picture her slowly walking down.
Yeah.
Yes, from the back porch, I go straight. It's down a deep hill in my backyard. No, I'm serious. It is. And I've got to hike back up the hill to get to the house.
You're making this whole creek up right now.
I will send y'all a video next time I go down to the little creek.
It's going to be edited.
Soft music and everything.
No, but I never feel more connected to God than when I'm alone in outdoors.
Yeah, I feel that too.
So, with my shoes off, sitting on the ground. I don't care if ants are biting me. I'll have chigger scars on my ankles. I don't care.
Any of you guys have any cool like connect to God outside stories, specific like days that were cool? Anybody? Just wondering. I've had a couple of those that were interesting.
Jake, I feel like you've got some after the most recent events of
Oh
your
yeah,
life.
so I actually just came back from a solo trip, my first solo trip to Fresno, California. I actually went to Yosemite and Sequoia both, and it was my first time. Like I've gone to mountains before. I've gone to the South Sister, Mount Scott outside Crater Lake with a colleague of mine.
Dude, Crater Lake's gorgeous.
It's awesome. We went. Sadly, the fires were kind of up at the time, so like there was kind of a haze, but it was really cool. So I did get some cool pictures of it up there. But anyways, I went back solo to Yosemite after going out there for 2 weeks with my family, which was a trip. But anyways, so I went there solo, and it was a lot more peaceful. And I kind of revisited some spots. I went up to Yosemite Falls, like hiked it, and attempted to, and I got turned around by a park ranger because apparently there was like a rock fall. So I just kind of had to cut my day short about 10 o'clock in the morning. And
That's devastating.
yeah, but anyways, I went out there to the meadows and just kind of sat out there by myself and did some thinking about what's going to happen in my career and kind of how I want to pivot at this point in life because I'm still young, I still got a lot of opportunity, and yeah, came to some pretty cool decisions. I don't want to say here on the internet,
Sure,
but because everything's
In play, yeah.
in place,
And
but
you got a lot
things
of-
are being moved around.
You've got 4 years till you run for president, so
Well,
I
Yeah.
understand you got a little bit of time to work.
No, that's like I can't. If you want
When you turn 40.
35, I'm going for 35.
Okay,
trying
okay.
Trying to beat out who was it? JFK? Was he the youngest?
He may have been.
Or
I thought
Ted.
you have to be 40 to
I don't
run
know.
for
There is an
president.
age, but
35.
I can't remember what the age
I think
is.
40.
Is it
Is
40?
it?
I think it is
I believe
40.
it is 40.
Somewhere around there.
Got 18
We
years.
need a, in my humble opinion, we need a age cap as well. We've been pushing some older folks up there.
We need an age
Hey,
cap.
no one knows
Humble
the-
opinion.
No
Humble
one knows the
opinion.
starting age because they've all been a lot older than that. So
30 years on the sit-up floor going strong.
Anybody else a really cool outdoor experience?
Yeah, the first time I ever really connected with the outdoors was I used to hate the outdoors. Every single time my mom would force me to go on a hike when I was like 9 or 10, I was miserable. I literally sat on every tree stump there was. But winter camp of 2022, I believe it was, we have a campfire the last night of winter camp, and we all split off into different groups, or not groups, like alone. And I went very far, and like I sat at a tree just by myself. Like everybody else had blankets and went and sat on the blankets or on stuff, and I like took my shoes off and was in shorts, and I like dug my feet into the ground for some reason and just sat there and sobbed. And the moon was like slightly covered by the clouds, and it was so beautiful, and the air was freezing. I don't know, it was really weird. Like I felt every single sense at once. Like I smelled, I saw, it was beautiful. I don't know, and I just sobbed, and I was like, how can people think that this is disgusting, that this dirt and mud on the ground is disgusting when God made it? How can people say that the fire smells bad? Like, just admiring every single thing that's in nature, and I've been like that ever since. I don't know, that was pretty cool, realizing and appreciating that God did create every single thing, and especially the earth that we take for granted so much.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like if y'all ever get a chance to go out west, it looks otherworldly.
Yes, it did.
Please
I just
go.
got back a little over a month ago, back from a trip out west.
Where did you go?
Yellowstone, coming back through Colorado and all that.
Oh, I love
We
Colorado.
flew out Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and drove back into Huntsville.
Oh wow,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's a similar thing, but we took it all by road out to Yellowstone, or not Yellowstone, Yosemite, Sequoia, all that stuff up through the Big Sur area, which people from California might know. Where it's
I will
from.
say
Totally different atmosphere out there compared
Yeah,
to down
it
here.
is.
it is, but I will say there's also, I think, because I lived in Oregon for 4 years.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the Northwest, going and seeing all the places like Crater Lake, Mount Rainier, Sisters, all that stuff. So I saw quite a bit of it. And then I was away from here, and then you come back, and there's a lot of beauty here that just gets unexplored.
Yeah.
Too. Like
Yeah.
I went during fall break. I decided to take the girls to a couple places I'd never been, and I went to the Dismals Canyon,
Mm-hmm.
which is about, I don't know, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes toward, you kind of go past Coleman. But man, what a gorgeous hike! Like down in these caverns with these huge rock walls and stuff you go through. And if you go at night, I didn't go at night because, I mean, my girls would not be able. It would just been chaotic to hike it at night. But there's like this larva in there that is one of the only places of 2 places in the world this larva exists. And at night they'll like light up in this
Glowworms.
creek that goes through the Dismals Canyon that you hike down into. It's beautiful, beautiful place. But like sometimes, like I don't know, a lot of times people don't even know that exists.
Yeah.
You know, Cherokee Rock Village over in Sand Rock.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Some of the most incredible views that you'll find. Rocks to climb. My personal favorite place to go is in Mentone. I go to Mentone. I hike. You know, by the DeSoto River or Little River that goes to DeSoto Falls, and I actually have this one place I hike, and it's really cool. You go down, you hike by Little River, and then you come out on some private property. But if you'll just kind of hike across it, you'll come out on a road.
Bleep it.
And if you follow the road up to the left, you'll come to what's called the Rock Church. And it's this little bitty church that's been there for 100 years. And it's built, the front of it's built into a huge boulder. The back of it's just a huge boulder. Like when you go inside, the boulder is the back of this church. And they always keep it unlocked. And their idea is like it's for people to come pray anytime they want to. So anytime I'm struggling, I'll go and hike that hike, and then I'll go pray. And I remember us having to have a pretty, probably the most serious surgery I've had. I don't say it was that serious, but it was removing some veins from my leg. And I like think about death all the time anyway. It's one of my obsessive thoughts, you know. So I'm like, well, I'm probably gonna die, you know.
I feel like that's
Hopefully not.
80% of the staff at Lifepoint always thinking about death.
Maybe, you know, maybe that's. But I went there, did that hike, and then I went to this edge of this cliff up in Mentone, just overlooking this view, and there was a rock, like a little rock. So I go to step up on this rock, and I've never had this experience except this one time. I step on this rock, and all of a sudden, at least like 150, 200 butterflies like explode from below and just swarm around me. And it was so moving, but this is how I went. I called my wife. I just had the most incredible experience. I'm pretty sure God gave this to me because tomorrow I'm going to die. That's what I said. And she's like, couldn't God be showing you that you're going to be fine? Like doing this, you're going to be fine? I'm like, oh,
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's doing that.
Same thing happened to me with gnats in Africa. It was not a good experience. It was actually miserable.
I don't think it's the same thing.
we had those in Mexico, man. We had to work at a place where they were everywhere. It was horrible.
I have never, like, whenever I was there was pretty much no bugs, but I walked under one specific tree, and it only happened once, and I walked under this tree every single day. But I was holding a child, and gnats swarmed my head, and, like, people could see them from a distance, and I was, like, slinging the child around. What's
You look like a
happening?
kid from, was it Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm serious, it was.
Yeah, this last time we went to Mexico, we built a schoolhouse in, I think, Matamoros. And I don't know what's going on there, but there is gnats everywhere all the time. I'm talking about it is, no matter what you're doing outside, any time of the day, there's 100 gnats around you.
Really?
It's intense.
Whew.
Man. And the kids, I guess they're all just used to it, but I was like, man, this is not the life for me.
You know, it's a really surprising place with a lot of gnats. Glass Beach. If you've been out there on the coast, it's on the Pacific coast, but it's Glass Beach.
Is it California or?
Yeah, California, outside Fort Bragg, California. I was up there, and actually, like on that trip, I was with the family and all. We had like a little bit of a disagreement, we'll just say, and I split off for about 2-3 hours, and I sat there on this overhang above the beach. And just about 6:30, when the sun went down, I mean, just get swarmed by like gnats, sand fleas, any of it. And
Sand fleas?
That's the thing.
Oh, it's a real thing.
Yes.
Your
but,
fear
like,
is
you
unlocked.
just get swarmed by it, and thankfully I have my jacket on, and like I just fully covered up, and I have like this this face covering. I put it on, and I mean, glasses, everything, and I felt fine. But before that, I mean, literally, it just feels like you're getting picked at, like slightly tapped on all your hairs. It was actually most unbearable. It was so uncomfortable.
The most unbearable.
Like, it was the most uncomfortable situation I've ever been in. And I've been, it was pretty bad. I'll just say that. It was pretty bad.
Let me ask you another question. Talk about rhythms. I think sometimes rhythms are discovered, or like you say, fear unlocked. Sometimes rhythms are unlocked. You find them, and sometimes they last for seasons. But many times rhythms have been made aware to me through like people that God's crossed my paths with. Anybody in your life that you've ever like crossed paths with that drastically changed your rhythm or changed your life in some form or fashion?
I don't want to speak too much, but Kevin, my colleague that I went to South Sister with, he's my boss as well. And he just straight up just saw me as a kid, like when I was working in IT, and we met each other at a night class for accounting at Snead State. And just off that one interaction, he saw something in me, I don't know what. And then at the end of the semester, said, "Hey, I need some IT work done. Would you help me out?" And then I went there, did it for a week, and he said, "How about this? I'm just going to hire you. I'm just going to hire you for how much you're contracting yourself for." And I was like, that's awesome. I mean, I literally went from working a McDonald's wage to a livable wage finally, which we're in Alabama, so it's like minimum. I was like working next to nothing for free doing IT work and all that, and I was doing IT work, and it just split me off into construction, and then it's like you're problem solving every day out in the field, getting your hands dirty when you need to. And then he taught me a lot about leadership and like the sacrifices that go behind it, and it just made me realize like, oh, this is real life, and this is how to extract the most out of it. Yeah. And the trips that I've been on with him, and when we went to the South Sister, I was out there for 8 calendar days, and I felt like I aged 3 years. And that guy, like, I'll tell Kevin, like, dude, he's intense, and I have nothing bad to say about him. He's awesome, and he's been a mentor in my life, and he's one of the people that's also kind of led me to my life of faith, and kind of really breathed and poured into me, weirdly enough. And he's one pretty cool guy, but that's definitely where my life took a complete change. And
that's cool. That's awesome.
Blaze a new trail.
Yeah. So, anybody else?
Are rhythms a good thing or a bad thing? Like getting in the rhythm and keeping it?
Well, it's according if it's positive for you or negative for you.
Okay, that's fair. I've had multiple people. I've had people lead me to negative rhythms, whether it be negative substance stuff with other people, or having somebody that I don't like in my life and having a negative rhythm of talking bad or thinking bad things. But my best friend, Grace, she's like the most positive person I've ever met, and whenever she thinks negative things, it's like not negative at all. And so having her in my life to keep me in check and to just look to her and look up to her in that aspect, because I'm not the biggest optimist, getting to have her in my life, it helps me keep in rhythm of positivity and that I'm supposed to be a nice person, like, or a decent human being, like, I don't know, she's just such a big influence on positivity, and it keeps me in rhythm to stay positive. And then starting my rhythm of following the Lord again. I mean, you're the one that got me here, and so I guess you kind of sparked off a rhythm of coming to church, and then it just spiraled up from there.
Well, I don't want to tell your story, Pearl, and no, it's your story. All the stuff you're saying, like, I had no idea. Like, I had no idea there's, you talk about you're wrong, doing the wrong things with the wrong people. I don't think I had any idea any of that.
Yeah.
I just knew you were sad, and you didn't have much confidence, and I saw something really, so much potential inside you. And so a lot of times you don't have to like I don't know. Sometimes it's not like trying to lead somebody. I mean, sometimes you do that. Sometimes it's just helping them see the thing that they lost somewhere along the way. You know,
Yeah.
they just need somebody else to say, "Oh no, I see that. Like I see that spark, that fire." You know, because we lose it. Sometimes it's easy to lose. Like we forget what was there at one time. You know.
I was definitely lost. Definitely had lost pretty much everything that mattered or was important to me, or that should have been important to me. So I do thank you for helping me find it again. But yeah,
for sure. Anybody else interaction that was impactful? Kind of helped you change rhythm?
Well, I feel like I've had so many people in my life that have impacted me in different ways. One of the ones was actually my old manager at the park. His name was Brandon. He always had the most positive attitude, and he was a brother in Christ. He always made me see the good whenever I was having tough moments. So I was really thankful for him coming in and being there, not just for me, but for everybody there as a team, because he didn't just think of him as his own like little employees that he has and manages or whatever, but as like little friends, and tries to help them in any way that he can. And you were one of the people as well that impacted my life. I think when I first started coming to Lifepoint, you kind of made me realize that it's okay to not be perfect. So I'm very thankful for that, because
Just because I'm so not perfect.
yes,
that's exactly what I was thinking just now. That was about to come out of my mouth.
Well, I've heard many stories about you, and I'm not saying that it wasn't one that where you were like just not perfect, but it's where I know I don't have to live a perfect life to be following Christ.
Oh yeah, because he went to jail.
I have been to jail.
And now I guess I could say also Jalen and Carissa, now that I started my new job, they've been so great to me. And
you know, one interesting person that I see in your life, and actually this is a question I never asked you or your sister, Cindy. Whose idea was it to first come to Lifepoint?
So Cindy was actually invited by her boyfriend at the time, who was in the soccer team, and I want to say it was Coach Oliver. I think he used to come here. I don't know.
Yeah, way back. Yeah, he did. Coach Oliver came back here way back. Yeah.
He would take a group of the guys that wanted to come here.
Wow.
And Alex came, and he knew that Cindy wanted to get connected with church, and well, we both did. But because they were dating, he knew that she wanted to, and so she came here. She had an impactful moment. First time coming here, and that's when she also decided to bring me, because she knew I needed to be here too.
Yeah, and so then, because you couldn't drive yet,
I was still
Cindy
in like
would
middle
drive
school.
you and your younger sister.
Yeah, at times
every
to bring
Sunday.
her here. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impactful. That's a rhythm. I mean, that's establishing a rhythm. It's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I don't know. I mean, that's not because Cindy was 16 at the time or 17.
I think around that
Yeah.
age, yeah.
So imagine if your story, because not all of our story, but like, it's a pretty mature story to be like, I'm going to go to church at 16, and I'm taking my two sisters, and we're going to be there every Sunday without family involved, without anything. We're just, this is important.
And it's really difficult too. Like that's a really hard
I know
thing.
what you mean.
Yeah.
I just had started college. One of my friends, she was kept on for like 2 or 3 months. Kept putting it off. Finally, something hit me like I need to text her and see what time church is for the day.
Yeah.
Something hit me like I just need to go for some reason.
Yeah.
Hit me in the middle of the day.
I was going to church for 2 years by myself on Sunday mornings, Wednesday nights.
Here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
here. But it took such a long time. And not that my family's all the way there, but it took a very long time. The hardest thing in my life was watching my sister be so far away from God, and then it is not my doing whatsoever, but because of all the influences at Lifepoint, and she finally came to know Christ, and I would always invite my parents, and because it was so difficult to come alone, and
Didn't you like drive illegally up here or something?
yeah, probably
I
yeah.
think you were driving up here when you were 15 before you were supposed to be driving.
Just
yeah.
expose her like that.
Well,
No, that is true. Yeah.
I remember that.
I was
So
driving when I was
Texas press.
15, so I could be here. But yeah. But now my mom comes to church, and she is in a life group now, and still working on El Padre. But
He's been a few times.
yeah, he's been a couple times. But it's just so great to be able to see my family coming along now. So yeah.
That's cool. Is there anything you wish you could, that you know would be beneficial as a rhythm in your life that you want to add, or maybe you've tried to add at times, that like you want to aspire to?
Fitness is like that's the chaos in my life. Like I just kind of fit it in whenever I need to, but I know there's benefits in doing your cardio fasted compared to late in the day, just stuff like that, like getting that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's where rhythm really stems from, is discipline.
Discipline, yeah.
Because you got to show up when you don't want to, but fitness would be the most, because funny enough, I have Clay sent this to me. He said Romans 12:1-2 about keep your body in check just as your faith.
Yeah.
And so and that was funny enough, he sent that to me just randomly, or no, I asked him, I said, hey, I just need like something to study on the plane when I was going to South Sister. Attempted my first mountain event ever done, anything at altitude. He sent that to me, and I was like, that's perfect.
That's good.
And so that's like the one thing I do strive for, is finding that consistent schedule and rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could call it.
Anybody else? Something they would want to add to their rhythm?
I think one thing I want to add to my rhythm for sure is just
Showing up at work on time?
well,
No, he's good with that one.
He good with that.
I'll work on it for sure.
Give or take.
But no promises. But I do want to just appreciate like every day a lot more. Waking up and thanking God for waking up, for Him giving me another day and another chance to improve my life. And I mean, my ultimate goal in life is as cheesy as it sounds, is to help other people. So to use the day and use my job to
And
help,
that shows so
help-
much as well.
Yeah.
That's very prevalent in your life.
help the community in any way I can. So I mean, just appreciating everything I have and the abilities and the talents that I have to do good. I mean, that's one thing I want to add, is wake up, appreciate everything. At the end of the day, appreciate the day, whether it had its ups or downs. Just being able to end the day still healthy, still happy, appreciating that and thanking God for it for sure. So I definitely want to add that to my rhythm.
Awesome.
One thing that I'm starting to add to my rhythm, or that I want to, is being able to know more knowledge about the Bible and like just about Jesus, because like I said, I didn't really grow up in church that much, and when I did, I absolutely resented it and hated Bible study. And I was also I'm really bad at learning, not a smart kid, and so when you tell a kid to memorize a paragraph Bible verse, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not smart either. So whenever we stopped going to church, I didn't know any of the Bible stories. I still don't really know any of the Bible stories, and so I want to be able to learn those so I can, whenever I serve in kids, I can tell the stories and so I can understand them, and bigger stories to talk to the youth about and stuff like that, and to be able to tell my kids one day, and for it to be real and not fake. I want to be able to know more so I can realize things in everyday life. Like, until the other day, I didn't even know what the rainbow actually meant. Like, everybody's like, oh, it stands for God's promise, and I was like, okay, wonderful, beautiful. Promise of
so
what?
If you're listening, you don't know Noah after the flood,
Right.
He sends the rainbow, and that's the symbol that he'll never, it's God's promise,
Flood
he'll
the
never
earth
flood again.
And I didn't know that until the other day, and I was like, that's amazing. And then election day, I was driving down the road, and I was like, what if everything comes crashing and burning today? Like, not, it didn't. And I was like, what if the world comes to the end? And I saw a rainbow in the sky, and I was like, God's not going to flood the earth, not literally, but it's not going to be a reigning terror of destruction. Like, God's here, his promise, we're good right now. And I don't know, that just put me at ease, and I wouldn't have known that like 2 weeks ago.
That's
so
cool.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Fun.
Marshall, Tanya, either one, something you want to add to your rhythm? Good.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Hey, I got about 12 minutes left. All right, that we want to make sure we end. We're going to land this plane here, so this kind of could be our last little piece. And what I want to do is end. I'd like to end every time we do one of these together, which we'll do once a month. Okay, we'll do these podcasts, put it out, Facebook, the world, whatever. I don't care. Whatever Pearl decides she's producing.
Okay.
But what I want to do is give us a challenge that the people in this room try to do together, so that when we come back, I mean, you might not be here next time, but the ones of us who are back after a month can kind of talk about that challenge. All right.
Yeah.
And so I want to add something that's been, again, I told you some of my rhythms I do better at sometimes than others. Like there was a season in my life where I would get up early every morning and go for a walk, like every morning. I'm not in that season right now. But there's another thing I've done at times that's been very impactful, and I think it'd be cool to try it as a group and see how effective it is or what it does for us. So it's really easy. All we got to do is we got to get a notebook and put the notebook beside your bed or on the table that you drink coffee with or whatever.
Delicious.
Yeah. And here's what I want you to do is every day I just want you to at least write one thing that you're grateful for. You can do more if you want. Maybe it was a day that you had a lot of cool stuff happen. You want to put it down. But it's called a gratitude journal. It's not a new idea that I created. It's something that somebody talks about. I heard about it, learned about it, and have done it before, and it's been pretty effective for me. But I wonder what would happen if we do that for a month. If we would, then we could discuss, instead of just telling people you should do this, we could discuss if this is a part of a rhythm that's beneficial or helpful, or we may come back and go like, it was just annoying.
Dumbest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, which is fine, right?
Another task to a busy day.
That's right. That's right. So it'll give us a chance to evaluate that for everybody else, because I'm sure we're not the only ones trying to figure out rhythms. And specifically for this podcast, for the people that are around you guys' age who are trying to figure out the rhythm of their life, because a lot of times they're starting careers or they're in relationships, and those rhythms, it just complicates everything. So being able to try to find those things for folks in your stage of life is very, very important. Once you get to my age, you've pretty much figured out some rhythms, but there's always room to grow and room to learn. So I want to do that. Last thing I also want to always leave us with is I want to talk about quickly, all right, because we don't have much time, but you can give like 60 seconds, the coolest thing that happened in your life today. The coolest thing that happened in your life today.
Is everyone going?
Everyone's going to go if they want to. You don't have to. You can say pass. It was a horrible day. Pass if you want to. It's fine. Or you may just been a boring normal day and you didn't have anything cool happen. But I want to give us an opportunity to look for the coolest thing that happened in our life today. All right.
I want to start off by saying shout out to Albertville High School's band, the band kids. They came down the street today and selling chocolates. I don't know if you might have saw them later or not, but they came by and I asked them, so what are y'all fundraising for? And I was like, for the band trip, and it was really cool because I was in band at one point, and I said, just take a guess, like what instrument I play. And they said trombone, trumpet, percussion. I said no, clarinet, first chair. Because you see like 6'1", 6'3" just answer the door and like all black, like wait a minute. But it was
your
really
clarinet.
Cool. Yeah, I give them a little tip to go with them. So yeah.
That's cool.
That is cool.
All right, we're gonna start here. We'll go around. You can pass if you don't have anything, but coolest thing that happened to you today.
Well, I was gonna mention it to you guys, but I passed my licensing exam.
Yeah, that's
Especially
huge.
license.
That's awesome.
Very grateful for that.
Now they don't have to fire you.
I know. That's what I told Jalen.
I'm so
awesome.
excited,
Congratulations.
Tanya.
Coolest thing was hearing that news, getting that text message was definitely really cool. I'm super proud. I guess really the coolest thing is this podcast. This is something that I've always wanted to try and do, is be on a podcast. And now I had my first shot at doing it, so this is pretty cool.
Yay.
Thank y'all
Mark it off the list.
for
Good.
bringing up this idea and for suggesting this. I'm enjoying this.
See you next month.
Yeah. Was that yours, the band thing?
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay. Pearl?
Today I went to a meeting about more information, like a kind of a study on not how to be a missionary, but I guess how to study the Bible as a missionary. And I don't know, a really cool meeting to open up pathways, and that's been really heavy on my heart for the last 2 weeks, and perfect opportunity to start out. But yeah, that was really awesome today.
Awesome. Marshall, anything cool for you?
Yeah, woke up with amazing help this morning.
I hear you.
Amen.
Amen.
Sometimes that's just enough be excited about.
Yeah,
Carry the day through.
I agree.
Alive and well.
I agree. Coolest thing for me today, there was a lot of cool things, man. My days, I just have the coolest days. I feel like I just love them. I just love my days. I'm one of those weird people that love life. Like I'm an eternal optimist. You know everything. But I left early to come over here because my legs were sore. Because for about 5 or 6 weeks I haven't been working out because I've been football and it just takes all my time in the afternoons. And so I went and worked out with Thomas in my workout group Monday. And it was squat day. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave early because it really hurts to walk. So I left early, and I get to just past downtown Albertville, kind of towards Citizens Bank. And I get a phone call from a girl who's one of my football players. She's a freshman. And she's crying, like, just kind of almost hysterically, but just really crying. And she's like, hey, Q. I was like, yeah, hey, what's up? What's wrong? She goes, can you just come get me? Like, I can't get home with my mom. I'm out here in the dark by myself after basketball practice. I've been here for an hour. I don't know where anybody is. Can you come get me? And I know it sounds like a sad story, but the cool thing is that I coach football not to create a football dynasty. I coach football to try to be impactful in these young ladies' lives. And raising daughters understand how that can be difficult, what they're going through. So it felt really cool that when she needed to get a hold of somebody, that she thought about her football coach to call.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the coolest part of my day, just taking her home, telling her it's going to be okay, that life is tough sometimes, but she's got this, and she's going to be fine. So that was my coolest part of my day.
Nice.
All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on the Collective Podcast. We'll see you in 1 month. And, man, if you're, in the area, part of Lifepoint, connected to Lifepoint adjacent, whatever, and you want to come.
Or not connected to Lifepoint and want to get connected to Lifepoint?
Yeah, the Collective happens every Thursday at 6:30. Is that correct? At Lifepoint Coffee House, and we'd love for you to join us and hang out with us. Each week's a little different. Like I said, we're doing podcasts this week, but there's different kind of stuff that takes place. Clay teaches, Todd teaches, Ragsdale teaches, so you get a chance to hear some different things and be around some people that could build some community and fellowship. So come check us out. We love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. Peace.